Good afternoon to all of you today. Thank you for joining us. Today we talk about active-active high available cluster solution for Hyper-V 2012 cluster, and we will talk about so-called zero single point of failure setup. That will be a bit more complicated than our last webinar we made on the beginning of 2012. I guess it was February. Okay, so let us switch to our agenda today. We are going to show zero single point of setup configuration. Then we will make step-by-step active cluster failover cluster configuration. Then we will also make step-by-step Hyper-V cluster. We will also create a virtual machine and we'll run some tests. I have here prepared a kind of quick start. This is for me and for you when you will repeat this configuration later on. That will help you to not waste time. I have prepared some kind of step-by-step here. So there is only 1, 2, 3 pages with the configuration details. So actually 2 pages. And the third page is our chart. So I have the chart here, and I will talk about this chart in few minutes because I want to make this as efficient as possible with time. So because we are also installing the features on the Hyper-V server, I will start with installing features on the Hyper-V server because it will require reboot. So then I will while rebooting, I will start to talk about zero single point of failure setup, and also we will prepare the storage on the DSS very quickly. So first I will switch to my I have 3 servers. That's the node B, that's node A, and that's node which is running Active Directory. Okay, on this Active Directory node I have also started access to my data storage servers. Okay, I have a Firefox here and I have the IP addresses. Servers are already renamed for DSS A, DSS B, and the host names are also renamed to proper name, like let's say node A and a kind of number, and the same on the B, node B, and a kind of random number. This is guaranteed to us that the host name will be unique in the network. Okay, because our Hyper-V nodes will just put the node A, node B, same story like with DSS, but with DSS we're just putting some long random number on the end, and then we have guaranteed there will be no host name conflict in the network. Please remember, the host name must be unique within your network. Okay, so as I mentioned, I need to go to server manager, and I go to manage, and then we have add roles and remove roles. Okay, we need to add Active Directory, so I just click on add, next. So here, look, I have a ADS demo.local. Why? Because I was making a test before starting the webinar, and I was giving the domain name the demo.local. This host name is just ADS. But when I was removing Active Directory, the feature or roles, then it stays here. I can show you where it stays. So when you go to the computer properties here and go to change or advanced settings and change, there is many options to go here. So go to change and go to more. So that's the demo.local, it's staying here. That will be not the case when you will be just starting new from scratch. But in our case, we can leave like this. I don't need to remove it, because if I will remove it, it may be the problem that it will not add this automatically. Windows may have some bugs. because I was doing this exercise already, and I had to add later on, after adding Active Directory, this primary DNS suffix by manually typing this. But this will be for future. Okay, so I'm just leaving like this. Okay, so please don't be surprised. When you will do it, you will have just your host name, and that's it. In my case, it is host name and then the old settings .demo.local. Okay, so I can go to next, and I have option to select Active Directory. Okay, so we are selecting Active Directory, add feature. Okay, what we want to select more? We want to select also Hyper-V. Why? On this server we will not run Hyper-V. Hyper-V will run on the nodes, but just to manage Hyper-V, I need this feature installed. Okay, and also failover clustering. So that's it, what we need for our iSCSI failover Hyper-V cluster. So next. Okay, next. And now there is a question about the create virtual switches. So in this case, on our Active Directory node, we don't need to touch this, because we will not run virtual machines on this node. We will only use this node to manage the cluster. So this we are not touching, not using. This also we are not touching, because this we can consider on Hyper-V, but since this is a cluster, these settings will leave empty. Just keep it. Okay, next, and we can click on restart, so we will restart automatically once done. So okay, and now install. It is starting already to preparing the installation, and it will, after few seconds, you see this close button is available. I can close it, and I can leave this server for reboot, because it's supposed to reboot automatically. Okay, so close, and this server is no more very important until it will reboot. I'm staying on this server, and I'm managing here the DSSs, but in a few seconds it will reboot, so I maybe go away from this server and go to another server. But before I go away, I will show you under Setup Administrator Settings, there is a nice option here, download the SSL certification. Okay, and please make sure you click on all of them. Then okay, then it will not ask you for these security settings next time after you log in and come back. It will save a lot of your time. Okay, you see it is restarting already. Great. So I have more servers here, so I can go to node A first. And on the node A there is also a problem that I don't have these roles. So I need to install. So that's my node A. That's the name of my computer here. So I don't need Active Directory here, but I need a Hyper-V. Okay. This node A will run Hyper-V. And I need also failover clustering here, right? So I'm selected. I have selected. Then we go to next. Then we go to next. And now there is a question about a virtual switch. So yes, we are going to use, and you will see in our chart that this 192.168.30.230, the network port adapter which I was configuring this IP, I will use for the virtual switch for virtual machines. So I'm selecting this here. If you will forget it, it is option to do it later as well. But the most easy is while the wizard is running. So I'm selecting this. Please don't touch it, because if the server will be part of cluster, do not enable migration now. Instead it will be configured from the management automatically. So next, and okay, restart. We need this restart, right? So I just install. I'm showing installation, even it is maybe boring for some of you, but there are some details. If you click wrong, then you will have a trouble. This is why I want to make sure that you know how to do it. So close. And again, this server will start automatically. And let me go to the node B. So that's my node B. And in node B, I was not removing these features to save some time. So you see the Hyper-V is there and the failover clustering is there. So we have all the features installed here. And what we are missing? We are missing this to add to the Active Directory. But first we will need to make sure that the Active Directory is already started. So let us go to Active Directory server. Okay, so I will need to run this desktop. And if Active Directory server is there, then we can get in. Looks like it's not there yet. So we have few minutes time to discuss the configuration. Okay, so let us have a look. We have on the left side, on the green text, node A and then XXX. That is, I mentioned a random number. So that's the DSS 1. Here I have to actually put DSS A on my real system. And we have a few interfaces. And then on the right side we have node B. Okay, so the two DSSs. At the bottom we have a link that they are connected. In this case here is both sides ETH3. In my setup this is not necessarily ETH3. It can be also different on your setup. But we will have two dedicated ports, and in my case I'm using 10 gigabit Ethernet and the point-to-point connection, two dedicated ports for the volume replication. So here you see on ETH3, so left side is 192.168.3.220 and the right side 192.168.3.221. That's our volume replication link. Okay, we have two storage adapters. So in our case here, ETH1, ETH2. So the first path is 192.168.1.220 and 1.221 on the right side, and then 2.220, 2.221. On these ports, we will run iSCSI targets. Means we will access our storage from the initiators via these ports. And these ports will be configured for multipath. So the first card will go to switch 1 and the second card will go to switch 2. So we will have also switch redundancy here. And as usual, on the first part we will put the access to the target 0 and target 1. And the second path also target 0, target 1, and one more time on the same adapters we'll also have access to the target 2, and one more time on target 2 on the second path. So in this case we have a target as a minimum target 0, target 1, target 2, so 3 pieces. And also we put here information. There is a 3 block IO iSCSI volumes. Minimum configuration for other systems, not Hyper-V like VMware, is 2 volumes. So we have 1 volume in one resource pool and second volume in the second resource pool for active-active. In case of active-passive, the minimum will be 1 volume. But in case of Hyper-V, there is a need for so-called quorum volume. And this need to be minimum 512 megabytes, also half of gigabyte, very small volume, and we need to configure this. This is why actually I will have 2 volumes, both let's say 100 giga or maybe 100 giga 101 to see at once which one is which one with size. and a very small, I will create, let's say, 1 giga volume for the quorum. Okay, so we have 2 switches. We didn't put these connections because that will be too many cables, but you see the for the management port I was here putting a bond, and also one part of bond goes to switch 1, second to switch 2, because if we power off a switch anytime, we would like to have the access to management as well. So that this is why I was putting a bonding here. Now Hyper-V nodes A and B, and in the middle Active Directory server. So on the Windows I don't put here information that's the bond, but I put information that's the team, because Microsoft somehow decided to use a different word for the same thing. Okay, in our case we call it bond, in the case of Windows they call it team. Okay, so that's nice. Everybody use the different namings, but it is doing exactly the same. So Windows since 2012 has a teaming, and you can team 2 adapters together, and we have done this really because we want Active Directory to be available anytime, even if we have one switch, network switch not available. This is why S1, S2. Same here, I have a management port, and then S1, this one, ETH1, that's the first initiator FAT. ETH2 here is a second initiator FAT, and this one is for virtual switch to virtual machines. Okay, so for my storage I would access here on this chart via ETH1, ETH2, that is multipath, and look, we will access 21.230 and the 31.230, that's the first resource pool, and the second resource pool will be 22.230, 32.230. Okay, that's the second resource pool. And the ping nodes, we need to cover our storage adapter with ping nodes, so that will be 1.230 and 2.230 because our physical adapters are 1 and 2. Okay, subnet 1 and 2. So I hope that roughly this is already clear. Let us try to connect to Active Directory one more time. I need to make sure that this is the Active Directory server. Okay, so this one. Connecting, looks better. So now I was installing the Active Directory, then I need to promote the Active Directory. So Windows will prompt us to promote the domain. So here, when we'll start, then we will see a message in the notification, at the notification icon. Okay, it is still refreshing. We probably need to give some more time. Yeah, okay, so this is close. Now it's the case. So what is outstanding? Promote this server to the domain controller. Okay, so we click here at once to promote, and we can add to existing, and we are interested to add a new one. And the root domain name, in my case, I was deciding to put a demo pool.local. Okay, that's my name for my Active Directory. Of course, everybody of you will have a bit different name. So password, I need to enter my administrator password. Okay. We will see whether everything NetBIOS needs to be demo in our case. So demo.local is a so-called realm, and the demo is a NetBIOS name. Great. So after installing features and promoting the domain, we can join both nodes to the domain, and we can start to configure our storage. Okay, so now install. It is taking some time, so by meantime I'm already starting Firefox, and I would like to connect to our data storage server. Okay, so that's our node A. And that must be our node B. I would like to mention something to you, that after installing the domain and after joining the domain, the Windows, the login name will be no more administrator, but will be demo/administrator. But you will probably notice this in the next steps. So our DSS has a volume group already, so I didn't remove the volume group. Okay, so unfortunately it is requiring a reboot one more time. So that was the, unfortunately we need to waste a bit time, because this Active Directory requires 2 reboots, and nodes doesn't require 2 reboots. So but in order to connect to nodes, we need to have the Active Directory installed. So in this case I will try to run DSS configuration from another node, and I have Firefox also on the node A. Okay, then login name still was here administrator, because the Active Directory not joined yet. Okay, it is starting a server manager, but I will also want to start a Firefox finally to configure our data storage server, to configure our active cluster. Okay, so we see it is not prompting me for this security, because I was downloading this certification, this certificate here. Okay, so now I will go to volume groups on both server, and on both server I will see there is a volume group already, but I didn't delete this for our webinar, because this is very boring creating volume groups, because it's just one click. Okay, so I have volume group created, but I have no logical volumes. So we will need to create 3 iSCSI logical volumes. So I say use volume replication at once. This is why I will have a I will not need to initiate. So in first is a 1 gig for quorum. So let us do it here as well. On the both sides I will do the same now. So I will creating the iSCSI volume with volume replication and 1 gig on the both sides. Okay, so next one, I will create one more iSCSI volume also with volume replication, and this one will be 100 gig. Same here with volume replication, and this one will be 100 gig as well. And one more iSCSI volume with volume replication, and this I will put 101. Okay, so apply. And same story here. So I was quite fast. I was creating 3 logical volumes for volume replication. So next step will be setting a volume replication direction. So I click on this volume replication function here, and the first 2 stay source, and the second will be destination here because it will be source on another side. So the volume 01 will be starting as a source on the node A, and the volume 02 will be starting as a source in our cluster in node B, and 00 for the quorum also on node A. Okay, so I was having here, I go to volume replication and see, I must make opposite settings here. Okay, volume replication direction is already set. Let us bind both hosts together. So I say 192.168.3.221 because I'm on 220, and the 3 because on the 3 subnets I have 10 giga, and that's my volume replication path. So please don't use, let's say, management path like 0.221. Admin is my password now, but later if you change the administrator password, it doesn't matter, because this is a current administrator password which is now, and just in order to bind both nodes together. Wrong password, let me see, admin, maybe I was typing error. Oh, wrong password. Let me see. Do I have a... Yes, I know now. I was having caps lock. So the caps lock on the keyboard is of course changing everything. Okay, so we are binding both nodes together. Once nodes are binded, then we have option to create our replication tasks. Okay, reachable binded. So the first one I will just say mirror 00. 40 meg for the first one is enough. This is a very teeny logical volume, very small. So M01, here I have a, let's say, 10 giga plus minus, I can maybe calculate 700 megabyte per second. If I will have 2 logical volumes only, so 700 divided by 2, then I can give, let's say, 350. But if I have a plan to add more, let's say maybe I will have a 10 logical volumes. So if I will have a 10 logical volumes, so my 700 I need to divide by 10, and in this case will be 70. Okay, maybe I will have not so many, just in case I can just put, let's say, 200. This is for resyncing speed only. So this limit is for resyncing speed only, not for when everything is synced. So 2 tasks are created. On the opposite side, we see the reverse tasks were created automatically. Okay. So we know these tasks which are without reverse in the name, they are at home. So it means that if they are active here, they are active at home on A. So I'm starting both, and after starting I need to go and check whether they are really started properly. So it is started already, but in the status tasks I need to make sure that they are consistent. Okay, so this is, and the consistency on the destination, exactly this one is consistent, and consistency on the destination is consistent. Okay, so everything works well. If it will be not the case, maybe you need to stop and start one more time. So now we do the same story on the B, M002. Also I will put maybe 200 megabytes per second. Create and start. Okay, we are starting this forever because this is a mirror forever, like RAID 1. Starting, checking the status. So under hardware we check the status, sorry, under tasks, sorry about it. The task is running, so let us check the status. Yes, it is consistent. Okay, so next step will be to export our iSCSI targets. So I go to iSCSI targets, and I will need to create the 3 targets, and then I will always remove the server name from the target. On the both sides it must be exactly same name. So I have a first target on the A, then I can do the same story on the B. Okay. Then we create one more target. Same on B. And one more target. This will be nice if it will be automated. So this is why when you have too many targets, you may spend some time on clicking on this. So practically is to make not so many targets. Okay, targets are created. I'm selecting the target 0, and here I need, before I attach, I need my SCSI ID to copy to another side. So copy, attach, and do the same on the node B. So I will just paste the SCSI ID because it must be identical. So paste and attach. Okay, the first one is done. Then we do the second one. Okay, copy, attach, and on B, now be careful, you need to select next one. This is often the error, that people are attaching more targets, more loons to the same target. Paste. See, every target will have a private loon. Okay, and then target 2. Okay, copy, attach, and select target 2. Please be careful because the people makes mistakes here. And paste. Okay, we have exported our targets. Now let us go to setup failover, and we finish the cluster configuration. So auxiliary path, that will be our volume replication, is already there. Then we need both storage paths. So first storage path is on subnet 1, and the second storage path is on subnet 2. So you see 1 220 and 1 221, and the next one is 220, 221, as I was showing on the chart already. So now will be 2, 2. Okay. Now ping nodes. Ping nodes, we will cover our physical IPs. I was already creating the IPs as on our chart on the Windows. So I will show you here. I will click on the network. Sorry, not this one. Right mouse click. I click on the network and I show you that, sorry, not this one. Change adapter settings. And look here, I have a 2131, 3132. So here, when I go to status and details, we can see I have a 1230. Okay, I have a 21230 and 22220. So 21230 and 22230 are to first FAT to access my targets. So that's the 21 is accessing target 0, target 1, and 22 is accessing target 2, and 1230 is my ping node. So how I get it? I go to in properties and in IP settings. You see I have one IP here, but I can add more IPs in this advanced menu. So I was adding some more, so I have IP aliases. Okay, so the same port is accessed via more IPs. Okay, so now the ping node 192.168 and then 1, let's say 230, that's my first node of Hyper-V and then first FAT. Maybe I will switch to the chart in the second. And enough if I put 2, so 192.168, and maybe now I will put the second path and 231. So the 230 is my first Hyper-V host and 231 is my second Hyper-V host. So first I'm pinging to the on the first FAT to node to host A, and then I'm pinging about to the second FAT on the host B of the Windows. Okay, you can enter. I was configuring 4 ping nodes. I can configure this, enter, but 2 is already fine. Okay, so now is time to configure virtual IPs. So I take the first FAT is subnet 1. Okay, 255. Okay, sorry. 255. Regular subnet class C. So 192.168, 21 and 100 always will be on my target side. So that's the first path to the first of the first resource pool. Great, one more. Now subnet 2, that will be second path. So 192.168 now will be 31 and 100 always on the end. So once I go with 21 subnet, and on another port I go with 31 subnet. And in the second resource pool, I will use exactly the same ports. Okay, so I can configure virtual IP on the second one. So 1 and 2, I'm using exactly same adapters. 192.168 now will be 22. So first resource pool, as you see, I was using a adapter which has a subnet 1 220 221 as the first FAT, and the 2 220 221 as the second FAT. And in second resource pool we do the same, but we have a different virtual IPs. Okay, because the first target 0, target 1 will be accessed via two virtual IPs on the multipath, and the second will be accessed via next virtual IPs. So now I select, okay, what I need to select now. Probably I made some small error. Let me see what I was entering here. So 1, that's the error. Okay, so we need to delete it. Yeah, be careful entering this. Okay, so add. So we select the 1 and 1. 192.168.22 this time. See, it must be always here 1 1 2 2. It must be this virtual IP must be on the same subnet, on the same physical subnet. Okay, so now we will select the second part, so 2 2, and now 192.168.32. Okay, so maybe you have seen the logic I'm using here is 20 is always the first path of my multipath, 30 is the second path, and the second digit, so that let's say 21, 31 means our first resource pool, and the 2 means second resource pool. Okay, so now what we're missing the iSCSI resources. So I will add these two here, so target 0 and target 1, because they are active on node A. This is why we call it resource pool node A, right? They will be active on the beginning on A, but later on it can be that the activity will be moved to another node, of course. Good, so resource pool A looks like done, and then we need to add also the target on the resource pool B, and once this is done we can start the cluster. So it was a few minutes. I made one mistake, this is why it was a bit longer. In the meantime I can already check whether our Active Directory server is already up and running. Yeah, you see now demo /administrator. We will wait until it will start, and now I come back to my node A, and now you see everything is ready to start the cluster, ready to start. So we start our cluster, and while starting the cluster, our virtual IP will be activated, and we will be able to access our storage already. Okay, so while Active Directory is starting, or is actually started already, I can try to add this node to the Active Directory server. So now my node is A is installed. Okay, so I can go to computer, right mouse click, and then properties, change settings. You see I click on change, and then I can select domain, and let's say demo.local. So I will join server to the domain, password just without the domain name, just administrator. So administrator, my password, welcome to domain. Okay, close and restart now. So my node A is already joined to the domain. So now I need to go to node B and join to the domain as well. Okay, computer, properties, change domain, demo.local. Okay, so now we join to domain. So now I will switch again to our Active Directory server, and I can manage now from the Active Directory server, because I will be not rebooting this anymore. You see, in the Firefox or in any browser, you can always go to options and see use current. So both pages which are configured will be started automatically. So you'll save your time when you're starting the Firefox. So now we have the cluster in the failover. It should be started already. Running okay. So our cluster is started, up and running. I have here a small problem because I'm rebooting the node. This is why it was a short running in degraded mode, because both were probably not reachable. So that was the reason I was rebooting both nodes. Maybe the good idea is also add some ping node to the Active Directory, but actually not, because one of the Hyper-V nodes must be working. Because when you will have the cluster, then you have a 2 nodes cluster, and actually Active Directory is only management. Okay, so after the second node will reboot, this ping node will be reachable. But one missing ping node has no problem with the cluster. both missing ping nodes, sorry, then the cluster has a degraded mode. Now you see the second is already up and running, is answering for the ping node. Okay, so we need to go to Hyper-V and connect nodes. Maybe I will show you the step by step what I was doing so far. So the first thing I didn't mention here is a firewall configuration. So whether you disable firewall or go to firewall to advanced settings and enable this file printing sharing, this is for echo, this is for the to make this ping available, because by default Microsoft is disabling the answer for the ping. Next was the settings, the Hyper-V and failover clustering on the nodes, and settings Active Directory cluster. So I was showing this, but one of the node I was showing, the second was already installed. Rebooting. After rebooting, I need to remind you that the username is demo/administrator, so you need to put the first so NetBIOS name before the username, right? Then next what I was doing is I was adding to the Active Directory, so I was adding both nodes to the Active Directory, and now the step number 5, I need to connect to iSCSI targets, okay? And then I will start Hyper-V cluster setup as a next point. Okay, so I go to node A. I supposed to go to node A, and on node A I will select iSCSI target and connect to my clusters, to my cluster resources. Okay. That's node A, and you see demo/administrator. That was in my settings before I was typing this. Good. So we go to iSCSI initiator. In 2012, you will find this in the start menu, so you navigate with your mouse to the left corner, or you click the Windows on your key on your keyboard, and here just type iSCSI, ISC. So this iSCSI initiator is already defined. You can right mouse click, and you can select pin to taskbar. Okay, so I will have it here, okay, if I need it often. So now I go to discover portal, and I will discover both paths. So 192.168, let's say 2100, that's my target. Okay, and what happened? I see target 0, target 1 was found, and let me discover 192.168.22. I'm not even touching the second path, but you see all targets are found already. Then I need to connect to the targets, and because this is multipath, I need to connect twice. So connect, enable multipath, and we connect with 21 first. It's connected, but we connect one more time. So you see now when I go to properties, it's only one path, and then we connect one more time, and now 31. Okay, that will be nice if we will be way to automate it. Okay, connect, same thing, 21, and connect with 31. Always 230 local and 100 as a target, right? So we are connected to the first resource pool. So it was 21, 31, 21, 31, but now will be, because it's a second pool, will be 22, 32, okay? So connect 22, okay, 22, something wrong, connect, okay, now better, 22, 22, and 32, okay, 32. Okay, so now we are connected, and when I go to the file and disks, I must see the disk, and I need to format the disk only on the node A. So you see that's 1 gig here, and I can just bring online, and I can create new volume. Okay, so we have created a volume on the quorum disk. Now I will create a volume on the first resource pool, so this 100 gig disk. New volume. This is just next and create. And the last one, bring online and create a volume. Okay. That's it. So we have created volumes, and on node B I need to connect to the iSCSI target with multipath. So I will need to make some clicks. Okay, that's my node B. With multipath is much more work as with the single path, as you see. Okay, you see demo /administrator. This is because I was having this setting saved in my console, remote console, and it was now the remote console is recognizing this automatically. So on the B, same story. We need iSCSI initiator, so we can go to start, type from on the keyboard ISC, and I have it already. You can pin to, but we don't need it. So discover. So 192.168.21.100. So now we see the target 0, target 1 is already found. 192.168.22 second. Okay, second resource pool. So connect 2131, that will be our job. So the first is a 21. Okay, now 231 because we are on the node B, so 21. And repeat for 31. Okay, repeat for 31. Done. So as you see, the first one is twice connected already. The second one, same story. So we go to 21 and 31. Okay, it's connected twice. And target 2, that will be 22 and 32. Yeah, so connect 22 22 and one more time with 32. Okay, 32. So we are connected. Both node A, node B are connected. We have formatted on A. So now I can go to my Active Directory server and go to Manage. And in the tools, there is a Failover Cluster Manager, okay? Okay, so we have a Failover Cluster Manager, and here we can create a cluster, validate the cluster. Anyway, if we validate the cluster, this will be asking us to create the cluster afterwards. So next we add node A, we add node B, so we have selected nodes to our cluster. We will run all tests, and now it will be a bit boring. I click on next because all the tests are now starting. It takes few minutes time, but we will not waste this time. I will just come back to the configuration chart and see whether there are some questions. It takes, I guess, 3-4 minutes. And of course, after test is done, we will see the report and we'll see if there is any problem, any mistakes done, whether everything works well. Okay, so watching this test is a bit boring, so this is why now I'm switching back. So that's our Hyper-V cluster setup. So we add the validation, and then we will add the last settings for the cluster, so you will see how it works. And then the last will be some virtual machine setup. We are going to do it as well. So again, our configuration chart, you have seen that the first target, then 0 and 1, we were connecting via 21 and 31. So when I was on the node A, so I was using 21 230, and then 21 230 was accessing 2100. then 31.230 was accessing 31.100, right? So these two paths. And okay, I have some questions coming from Marco. Do you suggest to do any performance test as raw device before format all targets with NFS? Oh, this is maybe the best test will be when you have a virtual machines already running, and then you will see what the virtual machines really can have. But yes, on the node A, as we have formatted the stuff and the cluster is not started yet, the volumes is just NTFS, and that will be available. Once the cluster is started, that you are right, that will be too late. We will be not able, so we will not have really so full regular access to these volumes. Some access is limited, and also some operations are only from the local computer available. So yeah, maybe that will be a good idea for the next webinar, when I will have already everything configured, and maybe I will make some performance tests. I can schedule such a webinar maybe December, January, Hyper-V with performance testing, especially that the next version, which is in the beta, probably in this week or next week, that will be in writing. We expecting, or we can see already 10 times better performance. Okay, so now let us see whether our test is done. Yeah, that's the case. Our test is successful, so you will see all the stuff in green, means validate software update levels. There is some warning here, so we can go to view report, and in the view report we can find some tips. System configuration, validate software update levels, software update missing on the node B. You see, on the node B probably I will need to change the update settings, right? So that's the only warning which I was getting right now. This is not so important to fix it now. Then we can finish. And the next question is about creating the target. Okay, my cluster name, I will just put, let's say, HA. Then it is asking me for the cluster IP. I will show you that here I was in my setup, I was already specifying this. So in the Windows Active Directory setup, my team has a 0232 and the cluster administration has a 233. It must be unique IP address, right? It will be not really used by us, but there must be IP address and must be unique. So I have found a unique IP. Then next. Okay, that's what I'm going to create. So once cluster is ready, we will need to make the storage as a cluster storage and make sure that the quorum disk is configured properly. Okay, cluster is created. So we see here on the left side our cluster. So cluster is the name is ha demo.local. So in storage we go to disks and we can see our disks. So look here, I have this disk is 992 megabyte, and this is quorum disk. So luckily Windows has selected a proper disk for quorum. This disk is a 100 gig and is NTFS. Look what happened when I click on the right mouse click and add this to the cluster volume. What happened now to this? It is clustered file system. So it's changed from NTFS to clustered file system. Same story here, add to cluster. So this one is also changing to clustered file system, right? So CS V7. Okay, and this staying NTFS, the disk quorum. If in your case that will be wrong disk selected, then you can go here, right mouse click, more actions, and configure cluster quorum settings here. And when you go inside, next, choose this option, add or change quorum, next, and then there is option to create the quorum disk. Once they are clustered, they are not listed here. So I will need to remove this as a cluster, and then I have an option to select, right? But in our case it was proper, so this I only want to show you where to change it. Okay, so our cluster is up and running. Before I will do some next stuff, I need to go to my node A, and in my directory on my disk on node A, I was preparing on the disk C. Here I have a virtual machine image. I was preparing this before the webinar, and you see I have a clustered storage. Let me copy this. Go to clustered storage, go to volume. I have volume 1 and 2 because we have 2 disks, so I can just paste it here, right? So that will be adding the that will be copying the disk to my directory. So when I'm copying from my local disk of node A to the clustered directory, then I see there is some speed, not so really so great, but it's actually reasonable. I was seeing sometimes even better value. Now it's about 60 megabyte per second copying the from my local disk to my cluster disk. Actually not so bad. Okay, so now when my machine will be my image of my machine will be available, I can switch to the management, and I can create a virtual machine from this. Okay, somehow there are some funny fluctuations. But the average speed is something about 60 megabyte per second. This is a copying to the cluster volume, to the one cluster volume. We could also maybe make some more copy to the second cluster volume as well, but for our demo, one virtual machine will be just enough. Now it's more stable than on the beginning. Maybe Windows was busy with some tasks, and that was the reason. But mostly I have seen very stable speed when I was doing my tests. Okay, so now the machine is the image is available. So when I go to my management, and here I can right mouse click and say to virtual machine, new virtual machine. Okay, so I'm going to create a virtual machine. Doesn't matter on which node it will be now initially started. So click on OK, and then the virtual machine wizard is coming. Okay, so we click on next, and then we need to put the name of our virtual machine. Let's say I will put VM demo 01, for example. That's my virtual machine, and of course I need to select this to select my cluster volume, not the local disk. So I need to go to browse, and on node A I select the local disk, and on local disk I have here cluster storage, and in cluster storage I'm select, let's say, volume 1. So here my virtual machine will be stored initially. Okay, so I have selected this cluster volume. This is important. If you are running a cluster, you cannot use your local disk to store clustered virtual machine. So next, maybe I will put some more memory, maybe dynamic. Okay, next. And now I need to connect to the virtual switch. So that's my virtual switch, which I was configuring already during installing the feature. So next, that's my virtual machine name, and now it is asking me whether I want to create a new disk or I will use already existing. So yes, I have, as you seen, I have image prepared. So I go to browse and go to local disk, clustered volume, and in volume 1 I have this image. Okay, so I open, next, finish. So now my machine is already up and running. So it's not started yet, but I will not need to install because I have these Windows installed over there. So right mouse click and I can just start. So you will see in this shortcut window that the machine is starting. I can connect to this machine as well. So connect, and I will see the console. There is also option to use a regular console. I can go to action and then send Ctrl-Alt-Delete, and I can log into my machine. Installing will be boring. This is why I was preparing already image. Okay, that was that is the virtual machine. We can start and see what is the virtual IP, the IP here, sorry, the IP which is assigned. So change adapter setting. I can go to status, details. So it's 0248. So I could start the console and then 248, and I will have access via regular console, right? So I can go to start and say remote. That's the remote console, and I will say 248. It was the IP. So 192.168.0.248. Okay, administrator. I don't have that. This computer is, this virtual machine is not in the domain. So I need to. Okay, so you see I'm connected to this virtual machine right now. So that's my virtual machine. I can maybe start the Firefox. Okay, maybe I will go to OpenE.com. That's a settings which was from the image before. Okay, so I'm connected to my virtual machine via console. We can try some stuff. Maybe Okay, we can try some stuff. I will close this. Okay, that's the desktop. This I don't need. Okay, failover and my desktop. So here I can try, let's say, move live migration, best possible node. So I'm moving from node A to node B. Okay, so I'm node B on the Hyper-V side, but the storage, I'm probably still on the on our first resource pool, right? Because in move there is a virtual machine storage, and we can also check what's going on here, and we can move to another machine, right? So we need to test what happened. Probably I can stay here and start the Firefox. And make some small test on DSS. So very simple test will be going to iSCSI failover cluster manager and just moving activity between nodes. That will be the most simple test, and maybe some reboot. So move. We see while we are moving activity, the GUI is just working all the time. There is no problem at all. So it is already done. We can move it back. You can make some more equivalent tests in your case. So our DSS is always kind of fault tolerant level, means anything what we do, the failover is always transparent. So we can now, let's say, shut down and then restart, go to shutdown and restart node A. So node B in this time will be taking over the resources. So here we'll see that the node B will take over, so everything will be active locally on this node. So it is the case, both resources are local, active local here. The syncing will be lost also as well, so now it's not synced because another one is just restarting. And of course our virtual machine is fine, up and running without any problem. Okay, so that was a short testing which I was able to show, and then let us see I will check whether we have some new questions. So next question, do you suggest to do any performance test? Okay, that was the one. Okay, that was yes, please, with any tuning options, especially for 10 gig. Okay, right, that is also nice to have. So yes, we are done with the today webinar. I would like to thank you for joining us, for your time. Here we have a here we have this quick start will be available to you. Just write to the email you've got invitation for the webinar, and we can send you the PDF of this quick start, so you will be able to repeat this at your site, and the webinar will be recorded, or is recorded, and will be put on our website. So when you visit our website under support webinars, you will find it. So one more time, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining us, and see you soon on the next webinar. Thank you and bye.